इस इंडियन वर्ल्ड के पच्चीस पेज में आपका स्वागत है। जैसे आपको पता है कि हम इस प्रोग्राम में एक्टिविस्ट होंगे और इस प्रोग्राम का मकसद ये है कि एक्टिविस्ट जो हम मतलब उन लोगों की मदद करते हैं, उनको वॉइस देते हैं जिनकी कोई वॉइस नहीं है या जो अपनी आवाज नहीं। सो दे वर्क एज a bridge between those who are in power, which is the government, and those who cannot speak or who speak but उनकी आवाज को सुनता नहीं। तो एक्टिविस्ट का एक अपने आप में बहुत अहम रोल है कि ये पोअर मार्जिनाइज लोगों को मदद करता है। अब ये बात तो हो गई, लेकिन उनकी अपनी जर्नी भी चैलेंजेस से भरी होती है, जिसके बारे में ज्यादातर लोग समझ नहीं। तो इस प्रोग्राम का मकसद ये है कि उनकी इन चैलेंजेस को, उनकी जर्नी के बारे में लोग जानें कि वो कितनी मेहनत करते हैं और चीजों को लॉजिकल एंड तक ले जाने के लिए कई बार उनको सक्सेसफुल के एग्री नहीं मिलती, बट वो अपना जीवन लगाना है। तो एक्टिविज्म इज नॉट इजी, उसके लिए जज्बा होना चाहिए। और ये जज्बा आज की जो हमारी गेस्ट रीटा पैनिकर जी, उनमें कूट कूट के भरा हुआ। वेलकम टू द इंडियन न्यूज वर्ड्स एक्टिविस्ट फर्स्ट प्रोग्राम। मैम, इस प्रोग्राम में हम लोग एक्टिविस्ट एक्टिविस्ट मतलब उनमें इतनी एनर्जी होती है और उनकी प्यास कभी बुझती नहीं, एंड दे कंटिन्यू टू वर्क। और आपका जब मैंने प्रोफाइल देखा तो इम्प्रेस्ड। बच्चों को लेके आपने जो पैशन है वो एक, जब तक किसी में जज्बा ना हो वो नहीं है। आपने यूएन या यूनिसेफ में काम किया, बहुत सारी पॉलिसीज बनाने में, बच्चों की वेलफेयर की पॉलिसीज बनाने में काम किया। वेयर डिड यू गेट दिस इंस्पिरेशन फ्रॉम?
ये मेरी शुरुआत हुई थी बच्चों के साथ काम करने के लिए जब मैं मुंबई में थी और मैं टाटा इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ सोशल साइंसेस में मैं वहाँ की फैकल्टी थी और मैं पढ़ाती थी। तो उस समय मुझे तो लोकल ट्रेन्स लेना था। मैं अंधेरी में रहती थी और टाटा इंस्टीट्यूट तो चेंबूर में था, तो मुझे लोकल ट्रेन्स में सवारी करना था। तो हर दिन जब मैं जाती थी, ये बच्चे स्टेशन पे थे। उनके साथ कोई अडल्ट नहीं था, मगर वही घूमते थे, फिरते थे, कभी ट्रेन में चढ़ते थे। और तो मेरे मन में ये एक क्वेश्चन आया कि ये बच्चे कौन हैं? उनकी मम्मी-पापा किधर हैं? तो एक दिन जब मैं अगर जिस लोगों को मुंबई मालूम है, तो उनको मालूम होगा कि जैसे कि ट्रेन्स कितने आते हैं, जाते हैं, तो कभी घबराहट भी होते हैं कि ये बच्चे तो ना गिरे ट्रैक में। तो ये सारे मेरे मन में था कि इनके साथ कोई एडल्ट्स तो नहीं है। तो एक दिन जब मैं वैसे ही स्टेशन में खड़ा था, 2 बच्चे थे। तो उनसे मैंने पूछा कि बेटा आपका नाम क्या है और आप कहाँ हैं? जैसे मुझे देखा उन लोग ने भागने लगा। तो मैंने उनके पीछे भाग रहे थे कि भाई भागो मत, दूसरे लोग जो स्टेशन में सोचा कि इन दोनों ने कुछ चोरी किया है, तो वो लोग भी भागने लगा। और मैंने कहा कि नहीं उन्होंने चोरी नहीं किया, कुछ नहीं किया। फिर पुलिस ने मुझे रोका और फिर पूछा कि क्या हो रहा है? तो मैंने कहा कि भाई मुझे तो इन दोनों बच्चे से बात करनी थी, मगर बच्चे तो डिसअपियर किया। तो उन्होंने कहा कि आप है ना एक पब्लिक न्यूसेंस बन गए, इधर क्रिएट किया है पब्लिक में, तो ये तो इट्स नॉट राइट, यू शुडंट डू ऑल दीज थिंग्स। और उन्होंने मुझे बहुत डांटा। मगर फिलहाल ये है कि वो बच्चे गए, तो मगर मेरे मन में था नहीं, मुझे तो इन इन बच्चों से मुझे कुछ कॉन्वर्सेशन करना है। तो वैसे मैंने इन बच्चों के साथ ही तो कन्वर्सेशंस किया और उसमें से पहली-पहली जब वो बात करते थे, मैंने कहा कि भई मैं पुलिस नहीं हूँ, मैं वैसे ही एक इंडिविजुअल हूँ। तो अ, उस समय मुझे मालूम नहीं था कि वो मुझे बस कहानियाँ सुना रहे थे। कुछ ऐसे कहानी था जो स्क्रिप्ट था, एक बॉलीवुड मूवी का स्क्रिप्ट जैसा था। तो जैसे वो बोलते थे मुझे तो बहुत शॉक होता था, सरप्राइज़ होता था। मेरे जैसे एक्सप्रेशंस देखते थे तो उनको और भी ज़्यादा मसाला डालते थे उनकी कहानी में। मगर आस्ते-आस्ते जब उनको समझ में आया कि नहीं ये ऐसे ही है कि वो हमारे बारे में ही उनको माने हम कौन हैं, कहाँ से आए, वो उनको वो इन्फॉर्मेशन चाहिए। So that's how my journey began, talking to these children in Mumbai. And then I came to Delhi. So because my husband, who was in UNICEF, so Jerry Pinto, he was transferred to the country office in Delhi. तो मैंने रिजाइन किया टाटा इंस्टीट्यूट से और मैं दिल्ली आई। मगर जब मैं दिल्ली आई तो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि मैं तो एकेडमिक्स में नहीं जाएंगे अभी। मुझे इन बच्चों के साथ काम करना है और मुझे एक मौका मिला जब मैं और असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर प्रवीण नंगिया के साथ यूनिसेफ ने कहा कि एक सिचुएशनल एनालिसिस ऑफ स्ट्रीट एंड वर्किंग चिल्ड्रन इन दिल्ली ये एक स्टडी करने के लिए तो हम दोनों ने वो स्टडी किया दिल्ली में और उस समय इस 1988 का था कहानी। तो उस समय इन बच्चों के बारे में वैसे एनजीओज़ या सरकार भी नहीं काम करते थे, वैसे कुछ पॉलिसी नहीं था उनके लिए। तो जब हम लोग ने वो स्टडी किया, तो उसमें से निकल के आया कि ये सारे बच्चे जो हैं सड़क में, वो ऐसे हैं कि ये तो काम के लिए आते हैं क्योंकि उनकी परिवार में लाइवलीहुड ऑप्शंस इतना कमी है, तो इनके पैसे की भी ज़रूरत है, तो इसीलिए काम के लिए ही आते हैं। दूसरी बात ये है कि ये बच्चे ये है कि कभी तो कुछ डोमेस्टिक इश्यूज़ की वजह से, डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस की वजह से भी निकल के आए हैं। तो ये स्टडी से मुझे और एक और चीज़ मुझे समझ में आया कि इन बच्चों के लिए अगर उस समय अ, सरकार की कुछ वैसे काम नहीं था एक्सेप्टिंग द जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट जो था, उसमें से हमें इन बच्चों को सीडब्ल्यूसी में लेके जाएँ और फिर उनको चाइल्ड केयर इंस्टीट्यूशंस में उनको एडमिट कर सकते हैं। मगर मेरी जो बातें कन्वर्सेशंस इन बच्चों से हुआ, वो कोई भी एक बच्चा ये नहीं कहा कि मुझे एक इंस्टीट्यूशन में एडमिट करो, होम में एडमिट करो। एक भी बच्चा उस समय नहीं कहा। उन लोगों की यही था कि भई ये जो है हमें अच्छा से एक नौकरी मिलना है, कुछ काम करना है, हमें पुलिस की मार से बचाओ। दूसरी ये रजिस्टर्ड कूलीज़ है और पोर्टर्स है, उनसे हमें बचाओ। तो ये सारे उनकी समस्या था और तो मैंने फिर क्या किया कि इस देश में उस समय कंट्री में 5 ऐसे संस्थाएँ थे जो पायनियर्स और वो स्ट्रीट कनेक्टेड बच्चों के साथ काम कर रहे थे। तो मैंने 1 साल लिया इन पाँचों एनजीओज़ को मैं जाके स्टडी किया। स्टडी मैंने उनको मिला, उनके फाउंडर्स को मिला और उन फाउंडर्स के साथ मेरी मेरी कन्वर्सेशंस हुआ, डायलॉग हुआ, डिस्कशंस हुआ। वेरी, वेरी charismatic, very interesting people they were. And they actually shared a lot of their thoughts with me, their experiences, their life experiences, about their successes, their challenges. They were very generous in sharing all their knowledge with me, their experiences with me. They allowed me also to go and meet their staff who were working on the streets. They also allowed me to meet the children. all these 5 organizations had homes for street connected children. So I met all of them. I had these very, very in depth discussions with them. And I must say, Anju, I would have never got this from any research, study, report, or anything, you know. And so I'm indebted to these 5 founders who really shared their knowledge and their experiences with me. But having said that, I must say कि I talking to them, talking to the children, talking to the staff, the frontline staff there working with these children, I realized that institutionalizing children is not the way forward for street connected children, because all of them have families. And interestingly, most of their families are also within the city, so I thought that's not the way forward. And therefore, Butterflies was founded with the value that we will be non-institutional in our approach. Butterflies believes in democracy and democratic values. So children's participation will be the core value of this organization, where children will participate in the decisions that we make for them. So they are partners with us in the decision making processes. So children's participation is a core value of this organization, and all of us subscribe to it. So those were and that we would use the Constitution of India and the laws of the land and the UNCRC as our guiding principles while working with the children. So this is how the organization began.
You mentioned about the formation of butterflies, and where you mentioned that the involvement of children while talking about welfare of children is very crucial,
It
right?
is.
Uh, so, and this is not the case in most of the countries. because बच्चों के rights हम लोग डिफरेंट करते हैं उनकी ड्यूटीज भी हम तय करते हैं तो हाउ difficult was it for you to handle this thing? Because in most homes, it doesn't happen. And forget about the children who are from poor and disadvantaged section. वहाँ तो इस चीज की बात ही नहीं की जाती.
Yes. Well, I think, I mean, generally, most of us adults, I mean, we have been socialized that we know the best, and what we say the child has to do. So even in a middle class family or even in an elitist family, it hardly is there the children participate in any kind of decisions, even the parents will not even ask them that. I mean, I'm sure you all of us know about it. The mother will say, okay, you wear that frock, you wear this dress, ye t-shirt pehno, wo karo. Unke wo bhi है ना उनको तो they don't give them that space, to discuss and dialogue. Yes, it was a challenge, because it was a challenge also with all of us, with all the um, my colleagues. Uh, I can give you one example. It was 6 months after we started the organization. Winter was coming in. So we asked the children, we said, we should collect money. I mean, you all should collect and save money. You should collect it so that we can have Diwali celebration in Connaught Place in the Central Park. We can burn crackers and all that. So at this meeting, so the kids listened and they said, well, we normally get crackers from the shopkeepers. They give us. We don't need to buy it. But you know what? Winter is coming. And what's more important for us is to buy jackets and sweaters. And that's how we began. And you must, every fortnight, we have a Bal Sabha in our own contact points where we work. And every month, we have this big Bal Sabha where the children come to discuss their issues. They convene the meeting. They have their own conveners. They have a person who writes the minutes to it. And we as adults just sit behind. It's not our meeting. And if they can ask questions to us and we have to answer it. But if we want to say something, we have to take their permission. There's another thing too. It's one thing to talk about children's participation and and being democratic in your processes. It's another thing that you as a person should believe in that value.
Absolutely. You raised a very important point. You know, giving right to a child to decide, to take decision which matters to him or her. You need to tune yourself. You need to change your mindset. If you make children understand, they will gradually become responsible citizens. So involvement of children in decision making process has to begin from when they are toddlers.
Absolutely, absolutely, Anju, because that's the reason why now I'm in Butterflies way back in 1992 began cooperatives and of children. And our whole conceptual framework is cooperative. So even education is a cooperative learning. And we also realized way back, it's at least about 24 years ago, 25 years ago, that if you teach children and kind of tell them that, look, um, you need to stay healthy, you must take a bath, you should brush your teeth and cut your nails or eat healthy food. I mean, that's all lessons. But how do you translate that into a behavioral change? That can only happen when children take ownership over their own body and their environment and their family. So, the best approach we found and a methodology was to have cooperatives of children. So, we had a whole discussion with children about cooperatives. We went through the whole thing, and the kids were just so excited. And so we started with a cooperative, child health and sports cooperative, where children learn to live safe and healthy lives and emotionally well lives. They have child health educators who give first aid to their peers, their friends, but also in the neighborhood. If anybody gets a cut, even they take them to a government hospital because they know how to navigate the hospital. They have been taught that. We have a sports educator who on a daily basis has sports for the children and brings them out to play, and he has the sports materials, and that much of a time they are not on the phone or doing other kind of stuff, but actually playing, and that actually improves the emotional well-being of the children. The children were also very active during the COVID. Although there was a lockdown, the kids, as you know, children are, walking newspapers, media people. They're always, their eyes are open, their ears are open. You think that they are not listening, but no, they are listening to everything that you say. So they would they saw anybody in the neighborhood not wearing the mask properly and it was on their chin, they would go up to and say, Uncle, आपका mask है ना, यहाँ है, वो है ना, नाक में रखना है. And they would tell, the uncle and aunties and dada and dadis and nana and nannies and all that. And we were just worried that they shouldn't be, ticked off, but nay, they spoke very well and they said that. Some of the kids also, when they would see a crowd somewhere, they would say, प्लीज अंकल आंटी है ना, ऐसा मत खड़ो, थोड़ा सा है ना, डिस्टेंस रखो आप, so they did all that during the COVID. But they did another thing which was really, really very, very, important. And there was this girl who lives in the Okla Mandi side. And when the government was giving free rations and free hygiene kits and healthcare, but it was only given to people who had their documentations. And if you didn't have, you had to go to the e-portal and register. Now, an illiterate poor person, where do they have, tablets and laptops, and they won't even know how to register. So this girl, who was a member of the child health cooperative, along with her friends, they knew there were 24 families in their neighborhood who didn't have it. And they went up to them and they said, we can help you in registering the e-portal, if you want us to do that. And they were so happy. So 24 of these families got their documentation, were able to get all their free rations and everything, because these kids were able to put them, register them, and they got their documentation. So, and even during the time when we were at the lockdown and later, we were serving meals and we were giving free rations and hygiene kits. It was the children who were organizing the families, the children, to come and to get all these things. So, that collectiveness, the collective spirit, it's not just I, me, and myself, you know. I need to talk about the community, the larger good, the larger benefit for everybody, not only for me or my family, but for everybody. Now, the
So
same
this is
corporate.
basically cooperative culture,
Yes, it's a
what
cooperative
you should do.
concept, absolutely. And we also we have cooperative learning. We have a cooperative child health and sports cooperative. We have a children's development kazana, which is teaching children financial management. And earlier it was called Children Development Bank, and it was started in the in about in 2020. And when we began that, I mean, sorry, in 2000 we began it. In 1999 2000 we began it. At that time it became such a news, so it was being covered by newspapers. So the RBI governor in Mumbai called up the general manager of RBI in Delhi and said, "Do you know that there are these children having their own banks? You know anything about that?" So they then found out, and two of their officers came to Butterflies. Honestly, Anju, I didn't know that they had come to really inspect. I thought they came to learn more about this cooperative of ours, and I was so delighted. So gave them the whole thing about the concept, what we do, showed them everything. And then we said how the children learn to prioritize their needs, how they learn to budget, how they learn to save. And all that money goes into a mainstream bank, a government bank, under the name of the CTK. It doesn't go to the organization, but it goes in their name into the bank, and it accrues their interest. So they said, "Okay, ma'am, it's very good," and all that, and they went back. And a week later, I get a phone call. They said the general manager would like to meet you. So
Okay.
and I still did not know that it was other thing. And I thought, oh wow, now the RBI is going to partner with us. So I go, and I go to the office in RBI office, and I am taken to the general manager's office, a huge office. He makes me sit down, and there are 8 other gentlemen sitting there. He asked me, "Will you like to have tea or coffee?" And even then, Anju, I didn't realize what the agenda was. I was still thinking
They
that
were interrogating you.
they're going to partner with us. Then, after that, the general manager said, ma'am, you're doing a very good thing. What you're teaching children is so very important, which we should be teaching all our children, and, all that. But however, he said, you cannot use 3 words, and that is bank, banker, and banking. I said, but that's there in the Oxford Dictionary. He said, yes, it's in the dictionary, but you cannot. Because the moment you use the words bank, all the other rules and regulations come on it, and you're not running a bank. You're teaching. It's a life skill education you're doing. You're not having, so you cannot use that word. So at that, I said, oh my God, now what am I going to tell the kids? you know, because they loved that word bank, and and at that time the CDK, I mean the Children's Development Bank, was being operational in other parts of the world too, because there were other NGOs who were interested, and we had partnership with them in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, in Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, in Ghana, Maldives, all these places we had in Madagascar. So I said, now what am I going to do? Going to tell. So one of the officers there, he said, you know what? Instead of the word bank, use the word khazana. And I thought that was excellent, excellent. I said, thank you, sir. That's such a fantastic word, a beautiful word, because it is children's treasure anyway. The money is their khazana, so I went back, and we changed the name to Children's Development Khazana. It is called Bal Vikas Khazana, and the kids were
You have an account in the bank.
yes, it's in the Canara Bank. We have a separate account only for them, for the Children's Development Khazana. All the money goes there.
Okay, now taking a clue from what you're talking, we are in the digital era and you are dealing with children. As an activist, what kind of challenges are you facing in the digital era? Because it has its own plus and minus.
Yes, uh, in the digital world, the issue that we are facing with children and adolescents and young person is they are so hooked on to the social media, and it is affecting them emotionally, mentally, and this it's a deep concern for us, because they follow some of the YouTubers, and some of the YouTubers have toxic messages that come out of it. It's kind of very, toxic masculinity that the children and adolescents are following, and it is an issue and a problem. It's also body shaming. You would find that a lot of them would also kind of, tease, make fun of, because see, in the internet, what happens is that you can say anything and get away with it, and that is impacting the emotional well-being of the children. In fact, their relationship with their parents, with their siblings, it's all getting affected. I mean, where is it that you talk to each other? Where is it that you really have a conversation? You don't, you know because and in fact the children are so much in the virtual world that that becomes a reality for them than the real world. So when we talk about something, or we tell the parents tell them something, they would say, नहीं वो तो गलत है, नहीं हमने तो देखा है कि इंटरनेट में गया था कि गूगल में ये बोलता है, वो बोलता है, you know they would dismiss off uh, the the advice or suggestions or anything that is being given by the parents, because their first person that they go to is their virtual friends, and it's the virtual friends that is giving them these advices and suggestions. So it is a concern, and therefore we in Butterflies, we have started since last year. We are having what we call, focus group discussions, and we are and taking the children over what is safe conversations, the the websites that you can go to, the safe and the unsafe websites, the dark websites which you should not, because you can get into online abuse. So we are educating children on that. We're educating the parents on it, to say that. But of course, we work with the poorer working class. So every kid does not have a smartphone, but their parents have, and they do take that and then they play with it. But we do explain to them that the importance of it. But Anju, it's a long haul, and every day something new comes up. which we ourselves is quite taken aback because we didn't know that there was that kind of a YouTuber in it. Do you know there was a YouTuber, and we were very, very, very deeply concerned. And this lady on the YouTube is telling the young persons, how do you make friends with a girl? How do you start a conversation with girls? Okay, you want her to be your girlfriend. So what is it? How will you, initiate a conversation? How do you take that along? How do you, um, uh, make her, interested in you? I mean, this was worrying. And there were so many young persons who were hooked on to, and she had so many followers. I mean, it is similarly, there are so many YouTubers who speak about masculinity, toxic, and the young boys are being influenced by that. So on one end, you're at a level, we are kind of talking to them and decoding the notions of masculinity, telling them, and having our sessions with them, that masculinity is not having 6 and 8, abs on your muscle. The worry is that technology is taking over our lives. I'm also so worried that, with the AI becoming a reality, I wonder, you know, how it will be used and misused by perpetrators.
How much credit you would give to your own family?
My strength, my real strength to do this work and to start this organization came from my husband, Jerry Pinto, who is no more. He passed away 13 years ago, and he used to work. He was in UNICEF. He was a program officer there. In and he, when we married, and he had, he mentioned, and we had a lot of discussions, and he said, I don't want you to be a homemaker, a typical wife. Do what you want. I couldn't be here, and I wouldn't be here talking to you if not for him being with me right from the beginning and giving me all that support that I needed. But I also have to say with this that I have incredible group of colleagues, young people, because of all these people, my parents, my siblings, and most of all my Jerry, my husband, and my colleagues, and a host of friends I have met, and they've all been part of my life. And I think that I'm fortunate. I'm very privileged to have them all in my life.
We are wrapping up the interview. Uh, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at the rate NNW132. You can follow us on Facebook. You can join our Facebook group to make us network. We are there on LinkedIn and Instagram.